For the longest time, myself and the acoustic guitar solo, we didn't get along. We did not get along at all. However, over the years, I've had a number of revelations that have led to a much more positive experience when I've been tasked with soloing on the old acoustic. Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're taking a good hard look at the art of the acoustic guitar solo. I feel like I can't be the only one who struggled on this front, so hopefully these tips can help you out too. Let's just get right onto it. One of the things I find difficult with acoustic soloing is filling up the sound in the same way that I would with an electric guitar. And so what I'll do to compensate for this is use the open strings as much as I can. Let me show you what I mean. Take a simple riff like this, for example. And now listen to how it just sounds like it has more body on an electric guitar, especially when I play it with some effects. Overdrive and the reverb allow those notes to take up more sonic space, and by applying some vibrato, which is much easier to do with the thinner electric strings and a whammy bar, those sustained notes stay alive for longer. To make up for this, on the acoustic guitar, I'll use open strings whenever I can. So if I take my last lick and swap out any fretted notes for open strings where possible, it would sound like this. These open strings ring out longer and fill out the sound nicely. Here are a few ways that you can think about implementing them. Cross string scales are a really cool thing that you can use. That's when you take a normal scale, like say the C major notes in this position, which sounds like this. And then you replace any fretted notes with open strings where you can. So instead of going C, D, E, you go C, open D, E. Here's the whole thing. These sound great on their own, but you can also go about developing musical ideas with them. Another thing I'll do a fair bit is use drone strings, which is when you have one string ringing out as you fret others. Here's an example, and listen to that high E string as it rings out the entire time. The other way that I'll try to incorporate this is play licks that use hammer-ons and pull-offs to the open strings. Check it out. It's worth noting that these things are by no means exclusive to the acoustic guitar. I just tend to use them more with this instrument to fill up the sound. Here's an example that puts all these techniques into practice, and remember, you can always use a capo to give yourself some more options. Now I'm going to take a quick second to let you know that if this kind of thing seems interesting to you, I dedicate a whole chapter to using open strings and soloing in my new course, The Style of Soloing, which is now available over my course platform, samuraiguitartheory.com. In this course, I'm teaching the fun stuff, the stuff that gives a solo its wow factor. In it, we cover a wide range of topics, including looking deeper at bending notes, chromatics, introducing chords into a solo, rhythmic twists, and much more. Like all my courses, this is professionally animated to make the tough stuff easy to understand. For one more week, it's 50% off with promo code EARLYBIRD50, or you can get it bundled together with my other soloing course, 2 for the price of 1 with that same promo code. You can find more information at samuraiguitartheory.com. I'll also put links in the description. The launch sale is almost over, so get it while the getting's good. Anyways, let's get back to those acoustic solos. The next big thing that can make an acoustic guitar solo sound like it belongs in the dumpster is when the technical, non-musical gear stuff is all out of whack. An acoustic guitar is just naturally harder to play than an electric. The strings are thicker, the action's often higher, you don't have a volume knob or amp to give yourself a boost. So if things aren't right, you can find yourself working a lot harder than you're used to, which is never a good thing when it's time to solo. Getting a proper setup done is just so important. With my first acoustic guitar, I came to realize that it was a lot harder to play than a lot of my friends' guitars. So I took it to a luthier who ended up cutting off a piece of the neck here to make the fretboard and the strings line up better. He ended up filing down the nut and doing some stuff with the bridge to make it play way better, and it made all the difference in the world. Fighting with your instrument every time you sit down to play it is never conducive for a good musical time. Another important thing is figuring out your sound levels. When you're playing live and it's your time to solo, the absolute last thing you want to be doing is playing as hard and loud as you can just to be heard. If you've got a built-in pickup, try rolling off a bit of the volume for all of your rhythm parts. That way, when it's time to solo, you can give yourself that extra boost if need be. If you're using a microphone, then you're going to be at the mercy of whoever's controlling the PA. Let the sound man know beforehand that you'll be doing some solos and maybe try to give him a nod or something when it's coming up. My next piece of advice is take your bends and swap them out with slides. It's easy enough. So instead of playing this, you would now play this. Maybe it's just me, but I don't like the sound of bends on an acoustic guitar. Gypsy jazz aside, but that's kind of its own thing with its own special acoustic guitars. But I would just rather hear slides instead. If you do like the sound of bends, then you can ignore this point. Moving on, one of the big ear openers for me was listening to players who specialized in acoustic solos, specifically bluegrass players. In my teenage years, I was all about the classic rock, so stuff like Guns N' Roses Lies or Eric Clapton Unplugged were my source of acoustic solos, and I gotta say, as much as I enjoy the work of Slash and Eric Clapton, their acoustic soloing did nothing for me because they were just approaching the instrument the same way that they did their electric playing, and it just seemed like a downgrade. But this all changed when I discovered the bluegrass flat picker named Tony Rice, whose solos actually made more sense on acoustic than they did electric. I don't play a ton of bluegrass, but I've stolen a bunch of his licks that can be used in any style of acoustic soloing. Take, for example, this one. Or how about this one here? These lines highlight the open chords in the lowest position and are great to interject whenever you do a solo. And since bluegrass is one of the few genres that predominantly features acoustic guitar solos, it's great to use it for source material. In the same way that the blues and electric guitar are tied together, so are bluegrass and the acoustic guitar. Take a stroll into the genre and see if you can find some stuff that you like. My next tip is you might want to start thinking differently about how you end phrases. Some of the ways that you can commonly wrap up your musical ideas on an electric don't work quite as well on the acoustic. So for example, here are some ways that I might end an idea on an electric guitar. One of them is ending with a nice big bend. Or maybe I'll use some vibrato on my sustain note. Another common thing is doing a prolonged hammer-on pull-off thing. And I just don't prefer these options on an acoustic. Instead, I'll try to do stuff like end a phrase on an open string, or maybe slide down or up to a grace note. Another common practice is ending off my phrase with a chord. And on the subject of chords, my final tip is think about how you might be able to do a chord-based solo. There are a number of ways to incorporate chords in the solo, but when it comes to acoustic, one of the things I like to do is think more in terms of rhythm than notes. So by taking a handful of different chord inversions and playing them across the neck with some interesting rhythm, you can create a solo entirely using chords. Check it out. And there you have it, my friends. These are some things that you can think about next time you're tasked with taking an acoustic guitar solo. Remember, my new course, The Style of Soloing, is on sale for one more week. If you enjoyed this video and you found value in it, The Style of Soloing is a significantly deeper dive with significantly higher production value into the things that give soloing its flavor. And for one more week, it's 50% off with promo code EARLYBIRD50, or you can get it bundled together with my other soloing course, 2 for the price of 1 with that same promo code. You can find more at samuraiguitartheory.com. Also put links in the description. The launch sale is almost over, so get it while the getting's good. Thank you all for watching. If you want to check out another video like this one, you can hit that link up there. Sammy G merch is available at shopsamuraiguitarist.com. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and stay tuned for a wide range of musical content. Until next time, look after yourselves, look after each other, look after the planet. I'm Samurai Guitarist, and I'll see you again soon.